Hi, I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation. Today's topic is 5 of the easiest ways to improve your marriage. Welcome back. I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation, and we're going to discuss 5 of the easiest ways to improve your marriage. Now, when I talk about improving your marriage, I'm not talking about incremental improvements. That's not how we do things at the Marriage Foundation. I used to be a divorce mediator. In 2001, I was saved. A couple asked me to help them save their marriage. I said, okay, I had nothing to lose. They had nothing to lose because their therapist said their marriage was over. So why not give it a try? I discovered things about marriage, myself, and people that will change your life, change my life, change the life of thousands. So let's get into this, okay? We're going to go through a list. These 5 things are, you might say, at the top of the list. Number 1, you're going to go, well, sure, but. Well, stay with me because I'm going to get into each one of these. And I don't give you yeah, but kind of answers because I want you to really have a greater marriage, okay? So number 1 is be sweet even when you're feeling sour. Now, all of us know that we are susceptible to being in different moods. And our expectation is that our spouse is going to understand us and they'll accept us for who we are. Isn't that right? And doesn't that seem right to you? It seems right. Why shouldn't they accept us for who we are? Well, we're talking about improving your marriage, right? And so if you want to, let's say you're having ice cream, a banana split, and you put wonderful flavorings on your chocolate, vanilla and strawberry ice cream, along with the banana. You put sprinkles and you put a little butterscotch and hot fudge. But now I want to improve it. Well, how about adding some whipped cream? You're not going to hold back because it's so satisfying, right? Think of your wife or your husband as having married the most amazing man or woman they ever could have found. Their soulmate. You're their banana split. Don't you want them to really appreciate you? To really see the you who they fell in love with? Don't you want them to know every day of their life that you're the one? And we have these misconceptions in marriage. One of the great misconceptions that never occurred to me, but I discovered much later, is that, well, that's how marriage is. I can say this now because my parents are long gone. One day I asked my father, I said, Dad, do you still love Mom? And what he said to me was so revealing. I wasn't shocked. I wasn't dismayed. I was just like, He said, you get used to people. And I thought, that's not what I want. If I'm going to get used to something, I want to get used to happiness and love on a constant basis. And your husband or your wife, that's what they want. Now, there's a part of you that's saying, yeah, well, what about me? And this is the part of us that ruins things, you might say. You see, we're not just who we think we are. And remember I was saying that I learned so much about myself and I learned about others. And it began with my understanding of marriage. And by the way, this was back in 2001 when I, quote unquote, stumbled upon what I consider to be teachings, and I could have been cool. I could have said the lost teachings of marriage, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't. I didn't because I don't want it to be a novelty. Marriage is a very serious thing. And in 2001, when I was a divorce mediator, I believed in divorce. I thought, people run the course. Not everyone, but most people. If you check out the statistics, then most, meaning over 50%, most marriages fail. What about of the ones that don't fail? The other 48, 47%? Most of those are really unhappy. I know that because when I started helping people with their marriages, again in 2001, because I stopped being a divorce mediator, I couldn't believe that everyone was going through what I had gone through. And so I'm going to give you these suggestions because it will change your marriage tremendously. Each one of these is like putting whipped cream on the dessert. So number 2, this is sort of the opposite of never do the 3 C's, never complain, criticize, or condemn. Always be complimentary. Always be complimentary. And sometimes it's not so easy to be complimentary. You might have said as soon as I said that, yeah, easier said than done. And this is where it gets cool, where I discovered things about marriage. And by the way, you could watch these videos and you'll learn so much. You could read my articles and you'll learn so much. And if you want to take it to a next level, you could buy one of my books. This is not a pitch. And if your marriage is in serious trouble, and I hope it's not, then you could always get the course for men or the course for women, which not only goes deep into what marriage is all about, but shows you step by step how to turn your marriage around. So what I discovered is that contrary to what I learned as a kid, which is you can't change yourself, the truth is you can. And I'm going to prove it to you. When I was a kid, I don't know if they still do this. I don't know if they use this example, but they used to say, if I tell you, never think of a pink elephant, you're going to just start thinking of pink elephants. Well, I think that that's the power of suggestion, telling you from now on, start thinking of pink elephants. But in truth, there is a mechanical process that exists in every part of creation. It's why cause and effect is a perfect equation. It's why gravity works. It's why everything works. And so what works that gives you power over your mind is that you have 2 super powerful attributes. One is free will. You have free will, right? But usually we just use it to choose between chocolate and vanilla. The other attribute that we have is volition, where we could put into motion ideas that we have. This is tremendously powerful, and we're not taught this. We're taught control your mind when you're a kid, or shut up when you're a kid. But you have the actual power that you can use meticulously to control every single thought, to change every single habit that you have. Now, you can't change other people's habits. You can't change other people's thoughts. You can influence them. And that's part of improving your marriage by using these suggestions. You will influence them by putting more happiness into your marriage. So it depends on how negative you're feeling that day? No, it depends on whether you choose to be complimentary or to complain, to be loving or cranky. It's up to you. You want a better marriage. You want to improve your marriage because then it's a cycle. The 2 books I wrote is Lessons for a Happy Marriage, and the other one is Breaking the Cycle. Well, you don't want to just break the cycle of negativity. You want to infuse a new cycle of positivity. So being complimentary is how you do it. Number 3, be considerate, even when you're feeling less than amicable. You know, I've been in different cultures, and one of the things that I have noticed in various cultures is the degree of consideration that different cultures have. You're in some cultures, no one cares about you at all. I'm not going to point fingers, but I will just say that when I was a kid growing up, World War II wasn't that far behind, and the people coming back from Europe didn't have a lot of positive things to say about how they were treated by the French. They weren't considerate towards them. Being considerate is just basic. We teach our children to be considerate. We insist upon our children be considerate. Why? It's just the right thing to do. And if we start doing that, even when we're feeling grumpy or cranky, then we're achieving 2 things. One is we're altering our own consciousness. We're making ourselves more marriage friendly. And 2, we're making our spouse happier. Nothing wrong with making your spouse happier. You promised them when you first got together that is exactly what you wanted to do. In fact, when you were dating, you went out of your way to make them happy. You would do little things for them. You always smiled towards them. You never complained about things. If they needed something, you were considerate and you made sure they got what they wanted, right? You know, it's this tremendous fallacy that after you're married for a while, things start going downhill. I mean, it's like written in stone. For example, what's the happiest day in a woman's life? Right, the day of her wedding. Wrong. That would be terrible. That is the starting point, meant to be the starting point for moving on up, making your marriage happier, more loving, more passionate, more connected. And that's what it's all about. Okay? Number 4. This is a little esoteric. I'm going to share this with you because when you think about it correctly, when you think about marriage correctly, marriage is esoteric. Now, if you look up the definition of marriage, you're not going to see anything esoteric at all. What you're going to see is that the way the world sees marriage is like a business deal. 2 people who get together decide to stay together. It's like a business deal. But that's not why you got married. You got married because you fell in love with your husband or your wife. Isn't that true? And so now, to not express that love and make love the very foundation of your marriage is a grave error. But the reverse of that is a beautiful thing. And what is the reverse of that? Make your mind an altar of love. How do you do that? Well, that's a good question. But there is a process. There's a 2-part process. One part is controlling the mind, not allowing your thoughts to drag you down into the swamp of moodiness, of being upset, of anger, of all of these negative things. That's one part. Controlling the mind, because it's yours to control. Absolutely yours to control. And you can come up with excuses till time immemorial. And when you do, what you're doing is you're reducing yourself as a human being. Because we as human beings have free will and volition. And to use it the right way is the right thing to do. So, the first step, control the mind. Don't let any negativity out of your lips. Don't let any negativity pile up in your mind. And trust me, you're not going to explode. You're not going to have steam coming out of your ears. Just change the subject in your mind. You have the power to do that. But the second thing that you want to do is you want to, and here we go into number 5, you want to cultivate devotion and love for your spouse. This is number 5. On the altar of your mind, you want to build that altar with images of your husband or wife, encased in gold and beautiful colors and flowers and whatever really enhances who they are. And then in your heart, you want to be expressing that love and letting that love flow. Now, in the courses for both men and women, I have a special technique, and I feel moved now to tell you about this technique. But it's more than a technique. It's an illustration of the reality of who we are in relation, and don't get scared, this is not religious, but in relation to our Father, God. You see, we all know what love is, and I'm not talking about the version of love where I love this car or I love this dress. I'm talking about the version of love where our mind can't even wrap its arms around it. It's an overwhelming feeling that starts here. Where does that love come from? We can't create love. We can experience, we can feel love that's coming towards us only through behavior, messages that are going to our mind. But our mind, literally, and this is too deep for this YouTube video, but it's not too deep for the courses that we have, that love is God's love, not ours. We can't manufacture love. Our mind can't feel the love, but we can feel the love. But the best way to feel love is by giving it. By giving it. Why? Because we operate from our mind. I've already said our mind has too many filters. So there's always a question. Am I really being loved? Do I have to watch out? And this is happening subconsciously. You can't control that. But when you recognize that love comes from God and that we can be God's channel of love to our husband or to our wife, it changes everything. It makes us God's missionary for our husband or wife without having to talk them into anything, because we don't want to do that. God leads by love. And if we use ourselves as his channel and we cultivate that love in our heart and we make that love an offering with no attachment, no desires, because that ruins it. That's not pure anymore, because love is so pure. We just give it and give it and give it. Now, a great example of this is if you have kids and you've seen them sleeping and it's been a hell of a day and you see their little angelic faces, doesn't matter what they did during the day, your heart bursts open. They're not loving you, they're sleeping. But you can't even stop that love that's flowing through you from God to them. And that feeling is what all of us, every single one of us crave. And you see, what happens is that God created marriage so that we could experience his love in this microcosmic world, because we can't handle his love directly. And so he gives us this world of marriage within which we can experience love without limitation. And you see, this is the beauty of marriage that I discovered. Now, what's super cool is that he created marriage perfectly. And when we learn how to be married, then improving your marriage incrementally is fine, but we're going for that infinite feeling of everlasting joy, ever-expanding happiness. That's what marriage is all about. So I hope this was helpful for you, and we're here for you. There's a link below if you want to ask a counselor something. Since 2001, we've helped thousands, and we want to help you too in a very positive and loving way. Again, I'm Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation. We're here for you. God bless you, and take care.